Well, I think most of us are old enough to still remember Y2K. We had no idea what was gonna happen on December 31st, 1999 when the clock struck midnight. But needless to say, there was a lot of hype, but everything turned out fine. But I bring it up because isn't it hard to believe that that was already 20 years ago, and how quickly 20 years can fly by. So as we're at the beginning of another new year, but also a new decade, let's talk about just a couple things that we could do right now to adjust course slightly, to make sure that we not only reach our goals for 2020, but that we could look back in 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, and really feel like we have made a difference. Well, hi, I'm Dawn from The Minimal Mom. We love sharing tips and tricks about how you can simplify your house quickly. Honestly, I have never used a marker board before in any of my videos, so this is a new one today. But as we head into a new year, I want to talk about just a couple simple changes we could make, a few things we could declutter from our life right now and commit to this next year so that we can have a really successful year and a successful decade. Because most of us are the same in the fact that we've set goals before, often at the beginning of New Year's, and we haven't achieved them. So we might be heading into this year with not such a great track record and not necessarily a lot of faith or trust in ourselves. So what could we do today to change that so we have a really awesome year? And so we were at church a few weeks ago, we had a guest speaker, and he said something that I've not been able to get out of my head since. He said, most of us don't know where we are. And I just sat there and I just kept thinking about it of, okay, where am I? Where am I? So there's a few different ways where we can measure where we are. Of course, if we want a concrete location or a geographic location, but let's talk about where we potentially are in our lifespan. There's something about thinking about the end of our life that is actually very sobering. And so I looked up the average lifespan for Americans is 78.7 years. I'm not trying to be morbid or predictive of life, but if we actually look at a timeline of our life or potential life, I'm 37, so that puts me actually kind of right here in the middle. And so it's interesting to look ahead and say, okay, is what I've been doing the last 5 years, the last 10 years, is that gonna set me up, and is it putting me on the right trajectory so that when I get to the end here, whenever that might be, that I could look back and have no regrets, to be able to feel like I had influence on the lives around me that I was hoping to have influence on. It got me thinking about our kids. And so our oldest is 10, and so we had her back here, and then she's 10, and so potentially if she's with us to 18, we're already past the halfway point of her being in our house, which is kind of crazy to think about. And so it caused me to think, have we done the things with her? Have we instilled the things in her that we would have hoped to? And as we look ahead to the next 8 years, of course we'll still have influence past then, but really the bulk of it is right here, right? That we're preparing her for the future. Have we done the things we want to? And as we look ahead, are the things we're doing gonna set us up for success and get us there? Are the activities that we have her in or that we participate in, are they adding value to her life, or are they causing her to be overdrawn and overtired and crabby and not able to participate in things around the house like we would have hoped to? Is she gonna have the skills she needs to succeed in the world? And so again, it's actually really sobering to look at this on a timeline and really evaluate, okay, here we are, beginning of a new decade. Is what we're doing right now gonna set us up for success? And so one of the things that we might look at decluttering in the year to come are activities or the things that we commit our time to. If I look, is it really helping me to get to where I can look back on my life and have no regrets? And so that has been something really sobering. Or if I put our marriage on here, right? We've been married for 11 years. And so has that been successful? If we repeated these 11 years in the same fashion, would I look back 22 years from now and say that was good and it got us to where we want to be? Or I would say, no, absolutely not. There's things that need to change. And so are there things, again, that we need to declutter from our schedule and from our life to free up time for date nights or to have more time together or to invest in our relationships? Are there things that we're doing that are causing us to be overstressed and overdrawn? So we're unkind to each other, we're short with each other, and it doesn't give us the emotional energy that we would need to invest into our marriage. But then also to look at this and to say, okay, when I get to this end, whenever it is, am I gonna be able to look back? If that came tomorrow, I would like to be able to look back and say, yeah, I made an impact. I had some influence on people's lives. I think that is probably one of the most meaningful goals that we could have. But I know for some of us, it's like, okay, but what would that look like to have influence? Because maybe I don't feel like I'm having the influence or the impact that I would hope to. I think there's two distinct ways that people have influence. I think one, there are people that have a natural gift and they've found a way to create a platform around it. So this makes me think of famous people, of pro athletes, actors, singers, actresses, well-known preachers and pastors, different people that have been able to build a platform around either their charismatic personality or a gifting that they have. And so for most of us, probably we look around and say, probably at this point, if I haven't become a prima ballerina or a pro athlete, probably not very likely that that's gonna happen. So what is the other way that we can have influence? Well, I would propose that it's just to care about people, to give a rip about the people around us, but to recognize that we are incredibly powerful. And I don't think you understand the impact or the influence that you could have. And so when I was looking at this number, the 78.7 years, it was an article in Fortune magazine. I'll link to it down below, but it was talking about how that number for Americans is actually decreasing. And so of course, what would we assume is the reason that lifespan in the US is decreasing? I assumed it had something to do with the rising obesity rate, diabetes, and different health challenges. But what was really discouraging to read is that the reason that the lifespan for Americans is going down is because of substance abuse and despair. Since 1999, there's been a 24% increase in the amount of people taking their own life because of despair. And that is horrifying, and I am not trying to make light of it. I know that that is something that has impacted most people's lives that are watching this, and so again, I'm not trying to oversimplify it or make light of it. But that's terrible, right? That people are feeling hopeless. They're feeling like they're not noticed or they don't matter, or that the world could go on just the same without them. And that simply isn't the truth. So as we talk about how we as everyday average people could have influence, friend, the world needs you. You don't have to have any special skills to be able to encourage someone, to notice them, to make them feel that somebody cares about them, that loves them unconditionally. And I know for me, I'm down here in the middle at 37, but what about our friends that are watching this that are already up here towards retirement age? And I know that it can be easy to look back and say, well, I haven't done the things that I've wanted to do, or I don't have the skills to do anything remarkable with my life. But I would greatly challenge you on that, because what you have that I don't have is experience. If you have made it this far down to this end of this timeline, you have gone through hard things. There's no possible way that you've gotten this far without going through difficult things. And so what does that do? That makes you relatable. You can come alongside people like myself, or who are younger or your age too. You can say, I've been there. I have walked through the same thing. It's incredibly difficult, but I got through it and you can get through it too. And I can be here for you, to listen to talk to tell you that you matter, to show you how to love unconditionally. I have the maturity now that I can look past when you don't text me back right away, or you're sometimes inconsiderate, or you act like you know it all, right? We're really good at that. We have Google, right? So my generation and younger, we're really good at acting like we know everything and that we don't need you, but that is absolutely not the truth. So honestly, no matter where you fall in this timeline, you are in a position to be able to make a huge impact this year and in the next year. But what I want to challenge you is that I know for a lot of us, and why I would even talk about this, that there are things we need to declutter. It might be things in your home so that you feel comfortable inviting people into your house and having them over, or so that you have more peace of mind yourself. We know that having a cluttered space around us, it causes us anxiety. And so maybe you're feeling like you're kind of in that despair category right now. And so as we're here at the beginning of a new year, what do you need to declutter in your life? Is it things in your calendar? Is it physical things in your house? We would love to help you with that. Or is it even some relationships that it might be time for them to go? What do you need to declutter so that you can set yourself up for success in this new year, this new decade, and be able to look back at the end and have no regrets, to feel like you were successful and that you had influence and made an impact? So I would would love to help you on this journey as we head into this new month. We're gonna be doing lots of guided declutters, so we will be here to help you declutter your house if that would be helpful. So we hope you subscribe so that we could work on that together. But I would love to know, leave a comment down below, what could you declutter from your life right here at the onset of this year that would really set you up for success in this coming year and decade. All right, well, I love you. I wish you all the best, and I'm excited for you for this new year.